Welcome to episode 3.
Woohoo. Today we're going to talk about theater history, going all the way back to Greek theater and kind of just jumping around in some of the things that we're the most interested in. I think most of it Jo is going to take the lead on because she has more knowledge than I do.
I was telling Issa that she can jump in whenever, but this is my neurodivergent special interest.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited.
Yeah. I also didn't know exactly what we wanted to talk about until this morning. So I was like, I'm only going to have 45 minutes to do research, and I don't want to write down everything that you are going to say anyways.
Dude, that's on me. When I said, I'm going to write you questions, immediately after I turned my phone off, I literally conked. I said, oh my God, I'm going to do it. Conk. Then I woke up and I was like, damn.
But it'll be fun today. Woohoo.
Yeah,
for all the theater nerds.
Issa.
Yes.
What's your goddess of the day?
My goddess of the day is the goddess of sleep.
Sure.
I've on my watch, I never wear my watch when I sleep, my Apple Watch, but Ian does, and he's like, well, I can track my sleep. So I was like, maybe I'm just not getting great sleep. Turns out I'm not.
Wore it 7 times in a row.
I've only worn it for the past 2 nights, but apparently you're supposed to get like 30% of your sleep is deep sleep, and I'm currently getting like 8% deep sleep. So I gotta figure that out because I'm not getting enough deep sleep, and maybe that's why I'm tired. So we'll figure that
might be.
Yeah.
Well, it's also because you're hustling.
Well, no, it like I'm just doing what I normally do in a week, but like it's deep sleep is when your body restores itself.
Yes.
So I need to be getting more of that. Anyways, what is your goddess of the day, Jo?
My goddess of the day is being 1% better than I was yesterday. I was doing tarot. What was it? It wasn't tarot. It was like an oracle card the other day, and it pulled out Harvest, which kind of means that things that you've been planting, the seeds, are going to be reaped soon. Thank God. I need that to happen. Very much so. But at the same time, yes, Bonzo. I'm just trying to be 1% better than I was yesterday. And I think I'm doing a good job at that. I think I'm at my best when I am busy and I wake up at 6 a.m. and I work out and I do work, and then I go to work, and then I come back and I do more work. But sometimes that's just physically not possible. And that's okay. As long as I'm just trying in 1% of my life to be 1% better at the thing that I was 1% less good at yesterday, then I'm doing okay.
Yeah. There's no need to overwork yourself just because.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely.
All right, do we want to start with Greek theater?
Yeah, we do.
For our namesake?
For our namesake, well, duh. So the Greeks, I put, just for context, the word for theater comes from theatron or theatral, which is to behold. And then theatron is the beholding space. Theater.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about Aristotle's Poetics, which I think are a good foundation for I was going to do one preface thing. This is going to be the history of Western theater.
Yes.
Because while we have learned a few Eastern and Sub-Saharan theater history in school, we are not qualified to speak on that. And
we just also, like, it's so much less taught in curricula that's just not what our expertise is in, and we don't want to
say anything not true on a theater culture that is so rich and diverse and wide span that we are going to say what we know.
Yeah.
So, sorry if you guys were looking.
Is some European shit. Like,
yeah.
Me and the Brits, we know each other. We see each other.
So Aristotle's Poetics is known as the birth of Western theater and the foundation of Western theater.
Do you have a year span?
Something in the BCs. Well, the thing is that Greek theater comes from the epic poetry retellings, which were always live, and they came from emulating how philosophers would speak, which was in front of people and they would never write it down. So people guess around the time that Aristotle's Poetics was made, right? But there's no accurate time frame.
Like, give or take 100 years in either way of about 350 BC.
Yeah.
Just to give context.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
There was plot and structure, characterization, diction and style, spectacle, song, and thought provocation. Which, yeah.
Wasn't most of it in song or sung?
Yeah, most of it was either sung or chanted. This brings me back to a story. So I did the first chapter of the Iliad my junior year of high school in my specialized theater class. We should not have done that. But we talked about all of the poetics and archetypical characters, which is the hunter, the hero, the seductress, the oracle, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And we had to learn songs in ancient Greek.
Right.
And then let's sing them at the beginning of the show, because the songs are prayers to the muses, which were the goddesses of art. That's why that's where the word "You're my muse" comes from, because they inspire this divine artistic drive in people. So that's why a lot of Greek theater always has some sort of song, because it is a call to prayer, really. And that brings me to this thing called Greater Dionysia, which is known as the Festival of Dionysus, which is like
religious festival.
It's a religious, basically a religious 24-hour play festival. This is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
People would try and get Athenian citizenship, which meant that you were among the artists and thought leaders of the West, because even if you were born in Athens, you had to have citizenship. You had to earn citizenship. And that is how people earned it, is they would bring in poetry and plays. And the Greeks had this thing called a cult, which isn't like the Manson family cult. It's the one place where women had the leadership responsibility in religion, where they would host gatherings and go to specific places in the country and do calls to prayer to specific gods and goddesses. Dionysus, I don't know. I say both. Fact and data and data. Fact and fact.
Fact and fact.
Anyways, I'm tired. And Dionysus was the god of theater, the god of wine, which
makes sense.
That makes sense, and the god of divine comedy, which is why most of the plays, even though we know the Greeks for Greek tragedy, were comedic. And yeah, I mean, a lot of Greater Dionysia birthed what we know as some of the greatest plays in the Greek canon, the Metamorphoses play, so Medea, and the retelling of basically Hadestown. the Oedipus cycle. I'm thinking, guys, tisk. But these plays derived from writers making point of view philosophical sense of greater theogony, which is the it's humanity's relation to the greater cosmos. Mm-hmm. Now, in theogony, there's different sects. So there's cosmology, theomachy, which is the retelling of war and the war among gods, and the war among gods and humans. Cosmology is the origins of the universe and stories of why we are where we are right now. Mm-hmm. And so theogony, it's not theology, that's the study of this. Theogony is the retelling of stories in the greater cosmos. So all of the above.
Right. Well, because if you don't know, the religion to the Greeks was to all the gods. Mm-hmm. They had multiple.
The pantheon of gods.
Yeah, they worshipped all of them, not just the one that we see in a lot of Western Christianity. Yeah. It's a very different sense of religion than praising to one god. They have multiple, and you praise to the different ones based on what you are praising for.
Yeah, exactly. There's also no piece of text. Like, well, there's no one origin piece of text. So there's the Bible for Christianity. There's
the
Torah for Judaism, which is, they're the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh God, what's the? It's gonna come to me like 15 minutes later.
Quran.
But the Quran, thank you, for Islam, and so on and so forth. But for the Greeks, they only had spoken word, and they had what was written down as epic poetry at the time. Mm-hmm. So the Iliad, the Odyssey, any philosophy, a lot of the poetics, and what became the plays. Because the plays were how we, as people, the Greeks, got to see themselves connect with their deities. Mm-hmm. We have Adam and Eve and Moses talking to a burning bush through God, and Jesus being crucified and whatnot. And theater was their version of this, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and one of the fun facts I have is that they weren't allowed to portray death on the physical stage because it was seen as like religiously immoral and taboo, because so many of the plays were about all of these religious figures, and they didn't want to be shown as violent or immoral in any capacity. So in the scheme of the theater, obviously the amphitheater is what you think of when you think Greek theater. It's all outdoors and open air, and kind of works up like this, and has the
what are you trying to describe?
The sound booms through it.
Oh yeah.
The acoustics to it are like, you don't need a microphone, you can hear it
from everywhere. Amazing.
But they were behind is it called the skene? Mm-hmm. Like, basically the backdrop is where they would put the people that died and were dying on stage, and you would just hear their voices because they didn't want to be seen on stage dying.
It was years and years ago, but I went on a family trip to Greece, and we went to where Oedipus was first performed, and they were performing Oedipus that night, which was so cool. And the way that they did it for the deaths, because a lot of Europe, even in England and Italy, France, wherever there's ancient or older classics, they're very, very specific in how you play those classics there.
Yeah. A lot of, and we'll get into it, a lot of Shakespearean plays weren't allowed to have certain things said about the royals because they first performed for royals and they didn't want to see bad shit said about them on stage. It was very technical about where they were saying what about who and the underlying text of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and something I think about, I mean, we'll talk about this later, but when they performed to the King and Queen in Shakespeare is similar to how they did it in the structures of the Greek theater, because that's why the amphitheater is so big. Yeah. Is because they were playing to Mount Olympus. Yeah. Which I think is really fun. That's my 3 points, because I have 200 pages of notes on my computer.
Well, if you guys want to hear more about Greek history as a whole, we have an episode about that. So
our friend Maddie and I talk about Greek history and Greek mythology for upwards of almost 2 hours. So
go listen to that if that's your niche.
No.
My other thing is just a silly little thing. Oh. Is there was a comedy writer named Anaxandrides.
Do you want me to? Anaxandrides.
And he would write all these comedies, and as a writer, usually if it did bad the first time, you'd go and revise and yada yada, but he didn't want to do that. And so if a play that he wrote didn't get good reviews, he would just give the script to local people in the market to use as packaging.
That's awesome.
Because he was like, ugh, they don't like it here. And he would just give it away to be used as paper packaging.
I love that.
So I think that's hilarious. Being like, ugh, my perfume came in this thing. This isn't even a good joke. like what are you supposed to do with that? Yeah.
That's awesome.
Next, we're going to jump 2,000 years.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to cross an ocean and to this little island.
Called
Britain.
Great Britain. The United Kingdom.
The United Kingdom. And we're going to talk about Shakespeare. Ooh. So,
this I know more about.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is just us going off the walls. So Shakespeare was the first modern English writer. People think that it's old English. No. He's the first modern English writer. He's early modern English. It irks my brain when people call him old English because that's just not true.
Yeah, and he was during the 17th century.
The Elizabethan era.
Yeah, the Elizabethan era. He was born in the late 1500s and then wrote mostly in like the 1610s.
Yeah. He was the first modern English writer to argue theater's approach to constructive phenomena in society. So race, gender, sexuality, a woman's place in the household, class structures, so on and so forth.
And that being said, both for Shakespearean times and Greek times, the only people doing these plays were men. So there were no women portraying women. So anytime you're seeing, the girl and boy kiss in this scene. Two boys kissing. Two boys
kissing.
And a lot of times the women were played by younger men that were like 14. Which is terrifying.
Literally disgusting. But, and also, a not so great part of this thing as well is that some of Shakespeare's plays depict, people who are not white. And they were being played by white people who wore specific makeup and garb to try and look like them, which isn't great. And no, it's not good. It's to be frank, it's bad.
Yeah.
To be frank, it is disgusting.
Yeah.
Me trying to
let that be clear.
Let that be absolutely clear. But I think in the way that he broke through societal construction is through his language, which people deem as the most constructive language. So that's iambic pentameter, which is the iamb. So 2 feet is Latin for feet, and then pentameter of 5. So there's 5 meters, 2 feet. So da 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 da. That's 10. And he used this language to denounce and reveal the how universal and fragile and ever-changing our world is based on merely interpretation of language. And my favorite way to gag people who aren't Shakespeare people is to be or not to be. That is the question. It is technically in iambic pentameter, but it does not fit iambic pentameter.
Right.
Everyone likes to assume to be alive or to die. I'm questioning that as Hamlet.
To be or not to be, that is the question.
So the journey of life is to figuring out whether it's actually worth being alive.
Because it doesn't. Anytime that it breaks the structure is very important and means some shit is going down for some reason or another. and sometimes it's shorter if there's he loves to, if people are if he's alluding that people are going to be in a couple, they'll finish each other's
sentences.
Iambic pentameters.
One of the best. I mean, it's not in iambic pentameter, but Benedict and Beatrice from Much Ado About Nothing. One of his best comedies, if we do say so ourselves.
That's one of my faves, if not top 2.
Yeah. For sure.
But they finish each other's lines all the time.
Yeah.
Same with Romeo and Juliet. A lot of couples in the shows will finish each other's lines, and it's supposed to show that they're in sync with each other. Or whatever it is.
Totally. And then I took this class my freshman year of college called Shakespeare in the Natural World, where we talked about how nature and how shared air is vital in Shakespeare. Shakespeare was first performed in the globe, which is this circle that's made out of wood. And
no top.
No top. And the idea of the Holy Ghost is air shared between people. Make room for Jesus. When you're that's the Holy Ghost. Is there's a lack of shared air, but what if you lean into the physicality of the language that is being shared in this tank, essentially? There's this heartbeat.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting about how it pisses me off to no end when people who claim they don't like Shakespeare don't try and at least listen.
Yeah. I think my biggest thing with Shakespeare and why I'm not the hugest Shakespeare fan is that it's a little unobtainable for everyone. In the sense of if you go and watch it, not really knowing the storyline for some of them. I mean, you go and watch Cymbeline and you're like, I have no fucking idea what's happening. There are 20 different storylines. Or you've just never heard Shakespearean language before or anything. It's really hard to understand the first time.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so great to read it and then see it, because you can get the plot line from reading it and then go and actually watch people portray it.
Totally.
But I find that it can be unobtainable for people that just don't have that experience with it, and that's why I get frustrated with it nowadays, and why I don't think I personally put it on the pedestal that a lot of people do. I do like it, and I think that it has a really important place in what theater is now and what people think of as theater. And I think certain things are doing a good job of translating certain parts to make it more obtainable, or they'll do, like when I was in middle school, I saw like an abridged half-hour version of, I forget what it was. I don't remember.
Was it Midsummer? Was it like Did the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival go to you guys too?
It may have been.
Because they came to us and did a British version of Midsummer.
Then probably something like that. Because it was so much easier for a 12-year-old to say, okay, this is 20 minutes, and they're using language that isn't as hard for me to understand, and that's a great way to introduce it. But if you're like, here, read Henry VIII.
Well, yeah.
And you're like, I have no idea. Especially Julius Caesar. I don't love Caesar because there's so many historical names in it that it just gets fucking confusing.
Sure.
Because I have no idea who these people are, because then I have to go and learn about Greek, Roman, like all of this history before I can go and watch the play and know exactly what is happening.
I think that's what's so great about his comedies in particular, is because they are his most accessible.
Yes, totally.
For sure.
The histories are kind of known as being the least accessible and the most...
no one's picking up Henry IV Part 2 and being like, you know what? I love this play.
Yeah, exactly. You need the prior knowledge to... And I've said that about certain films before, too. If I can't go into something and enjoy it by itself without knowing anything, I think there's something missing from it.
Interesting. Okay. I get that. I think to that end, I teeter the line of people who put Shakespeare... Because I used to. I am a culprit. I admit that. But people who put Shakespeare on this extreme pedestal and judge those who
don't get
it or don't love it and have tried. Because if you don't get it and you're like, I don't want to even try, that pisses me off. Because I'm like, okay, well, you've read Midsummer once in 8th grade.
Yeah.
You were none of us were sentient. Okay. Read Romeo and Juliet. You kind of know what the, watch West Side Story. Yeah. All right. Try it. And if you hate it, fine. Totally fine. But I also think it's the fault of the actor and the production if you go to see Shakespeare and you don't at least understand pieces of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's no show that you don't understand kind of what's going on based on context clues.
Yeah.
But if I can, if I stand there and for 5 minutes, I'm like, I don't know that I know anything that you just told me because you're talking about, you're just using so much language
vernacular
that I'm like, I have no idea what
Unless
you're trying to get across right now.
War of the Roses fan.
Yeah.
You're not, I get that. Speaking of his history plays, unfortunately, in particular, Shakespeare used his plays to send secret political messages. The Henriade, which is what the collection of the Henry IV to the VIII is called, whatever, was a comment on the royals.
Yeah.
And also The Tempest, in some regard, was talking about the political grudges that the royal family was known to hold. And how if they let it go, it would actually do the country much, much better because they were in a trade isolation from the rest of Europe. The island being the storm. Also, one of my favorite little fun facts about his secret codes was his sonnets. Guys, much like I'm a Gaylor, I'm a Gayspere. He was bi.
Yeah, I see that.
Some of his sonnets were talking about this young duke.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And then the next sonnet over, he also was, well, listen, don't cheat on your spouse. That's bad. But at the same time, Shakespeare was one of the first very, very famous artist to talk about his love for a black woman. Mm-hmm. And that was huge because everyone was gagged in Britain.
Yeah. And to be fair, some of what he writes, not very actually flattering.
No.
It's like, your face is like the night. And you're like, oh.
You're like, well, okay.
I don't know if that's like giving what you're trying to give.
Just say she's black.
Yeah.
Like,
or like beautiful.
Or like, beautiful, stunning. Like,
yeah.
You know, there's a reason I'm cheating on my wife because you're hot. Like, give us something, Shakespeare. Yeah. But I think when people assume classicism, they really think that it's hoity-toity. Mm-hmm. Shakespeare is 90% pee and poop jokes with some sex jokes in there.
Yeah.
And the Greeks were gay. And so was Shakespeare to some extent. And they made fun of their people in power and talked about the fluidity of gender and sexuality. I mean, think of Twelfth Night. Mm-hmm. If you want to go into Shakespeare and you don't know, I'd say Much Ado About Nothing, because there's no iambic pentameter, or Twelfth Night. Mm-hmm. Twelfth Night's a very accessible comedy.
Yeah.
And it's just grand old time.
Yeah. It's also like people now think that, again, Shakespeare is this hoity-toity, whatever. But historically, theater at the time wasn't like fancy until the royals were like, we want to see it by ourselves. And the theater was literally next to a ring where they fought animals.
Yeah. And people paid more to go see the animals than they did to see Shakespeare.
Yeah. It's the road that like the Shakespeare academic center is on is literally called like Bear Fight Road. Like something like that. But it was on the south side of the Thames, and that's where all the...
Which was historically the hood back in the times.
And where all of the brothels were, and where the animal fights were, and where theater was, because there was also a time where theater was banned because, again, the royals didn't want to see themselves being depicted horribly, and they were like, art actually doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And then it just made people do theater in private.
Yeah, I mean, it's where the tomato thing came from, because people would literally bring like raw meat and tomatoes if they didn't like it and throw it at the actors.
Yeah.
And something that's cool about Shakespeare is that, man, people were good at memorizing back then, because they, much like film scripts, they were given a piece of paper like whoop and said, hey, here you go. Mm-hmm. Okay, be back in 15 minutes. You're Honest Juliet.
Yeah. Well, and also nowadays, like, I really commend the new Shakespeare's Globe, because the Globe burnt down twice.
Yeah. Remember when there was a fire drill when we were there?
Yeah, we were like, it's happening again. Like,
they literally have
so many sprinklers
like on top of the hay of the roof, because it's like a tinderbox.
Yeah. But I commend them for when they first opened in the 90s. They did everything as historically accurate as they could based on the very limited historical stuff they had. They built the Globe as it is now on the Thames as historically accurate based on 3 drawings of it. Yeah. Like, literally, they had like 3 drawings, and they were like, this looks good. And they did all the costumes accurately. They only use instruments that were of the times, and one of the things that they do is they have this they work in repertory, so so there are multiple shows going on at once, and each night they switch which show it is. And they have these actors in rep, and then if someone goes out, girl, there's no understudies, like they don't exist.
What was his name?
I don't remember.
Oh my god, he was the most handsome man I've ever seen in my life.
But when we were there, we saw Much Ado, and the Benedict was out for the day, and
they did have a standby who also was diagnosed with COVID the night before.
Yeah, so they had to bring this actor on that I'm sure he had
done it 2 years before in rep.
Yeah, but he was holding a script the entire time. And
one of the best performances I've ever seen.
Yeah, and he was still fantastic. And it was hilarious. And the thing is, you're so close to the stage. You can lean on the foot of the stage because you're standing there. Mm-hmm. And he understands that, girl, I'm holding a script right now. So if he does something with the script, he can work it in, and he's that trained to do it. If he drops it and then has to pick it up and be like, let me find my page again, he can do it in character. He understands that. But that is something that is of the times too, is that they would travel with these little theater troupes essentially, and they would get given papers, and sometimes they wouldn't know everything. Mm-hmm. And they would just have pages with them essentially, because they would be writing new things, abridging new things all the time.
Yeah, it's so cool because now we see it as some of the greatest poetry ever written, but back then people thought of it as garbage. Mm-hmm. And it goes to show that when you break construction, which is the word of the day, I guess, like Shakespeare did, and Shakespeare was known to do, and people loved him for it, you're gonna get backlash. And it's really cool to see how posthumously the classics have returned to us. Mm-hmm. And now people try and assume hoity-toityness.
Yeah.
When in reality, it was just actors, like, doing their thing.
He is credited with inventing, like, hundreds of words.
Yeah,
and it's like, nowadays, if you read something and were like, this person's trying to make a new word, you'd be like, what is this? But, like, he made the word
so fetch.
Lonely.
Yeah.
Majestic.
Eyeball.
Addiction. He is credited with putting the prefix "un" in front of words. Mm-hmm. He created the name Jessica. Olivia.
He created the name Does.
Yeah.
Viola.
Yeah. Miranda. Like, he created all of these words that we use in our everyday vernacular. Mm-hmm. And there are certain things like To Be or Not to Be, or Romeo, or...
Oh, for a Muse of Fire.
Yeah, or Can I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day? Like, there are so many things that are so intertwined. Iconic. Yeah, into our vernacular, mm-hmm. that he created hundreds of years ago.
What I think is so cool is he did that. I was reading some of my notes from Yonder about his relationship to the plague, which is how Hamlet was made, because he lost one of his sons, Hamnet, to the plague. Mm-hmm. And he has it in a sonnet. I forget. It's like in the 160 somethings. I don't know. I could, please fact check me on that. But where he's like, we're all gonna die, so YOLO.
Yeah.
And so he like does all of this because everyone in Elizabethan England, the Thames is, you don't go in the Thames because even still there are like sickness and disease in the Thames.
Yeah.
Which is where the plague came in.
Yeah.
And so they were performing pretty much right next to the plague. And everyone was very, very conscious of the fact that the next year was not guaranteed for them. Mm-hmm. And so having a space where people could experiment and kind of just go, fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's ball, was a very refreshing thing. Mm-hmm. Shakespeare was super modern for that because everyone else was so afraid to go out. Mm-hmm. Sound familiar? COVID. Mm-hmm. And so he made a space where people could throw tomatoes at people and make out in the bleachers and watch actors fumble with their scripts and make up names for a penny. And honestly, it's pretty damn close to the price of a standing ticket now.
Yeah.
At the Globe, which is like £5.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shakespeare, really cool. I like it a lot.
Woo.
Woo. All right. Now, let's go another couple hundo years.
Yeah, to a time that maybe isn't so fun to talk about.
It's okay. I'll talk about it.
Yeah. You got this, girl.
You got this.
All you from here out. Except when we get to the musicals, then
it's you, girl. Let's talk about Epic Theater. So Epic Theater was born during the Third Reich. Mm-hmm. Not so fun to talk about. And in the Eastern European and German vernacular, epic and the origins of that meant a narrative not attached to time, space, and linear boxes.
And epic isn't in the sense of like
epic poetry.
Epic. It's like it's a very different sense
interpretation.
Of the word.
Yeah. So there's this thing called, and I'm sorry to any Germans who are offended by my pronunciation, Verfremdungseffekt, which is alienation. Mm-hmm. And that is the big thing of epic theater. It was highly political, highly theatrical, and anyone who designed, performed, touched the stage were asked to perform at arm's length with the story. Mm-hmm. So most actors now are delving into the character, making them as human as possible. And in epic theater, it's the exact opposite. Mm-hmm. It is outside in, outside in instead of inside out. So taking your surroundings and being as almost theatrically robotic as possible to display the hopelessness of the reality that people were living in Germany. One of the most famous epic theater practitioners was Bertolt Brecht. Mm-hmm. He was born in the middle of the Reich, and he was, if you've ever seen the musical Cabaret, how you see at the beginning of the play this lavish, friendly space of all races, ethnicities, religions, sexualities got to perform, and then everything got shut down and ostracized. He had witnessed all of that in his teen years. One of my favorite quotes by him is, "Art is not a mirror to reflect reality, but rather a hammer in which to shape it." Mm. The language is very specific because he was very aggressive in how he produced his plays. There's also, again, a German word, Grundgeistes, which is the basic and very purposeful socio-political interpretation of a play. Mm. So you take the politics that are happening and, let's say, Nazi Germany, and you shape the play to either what could happen, what could be, or how you interpret the society that is affected by the politics of the world. Mm-hmm. And it's very aggressive, and it's supposed to be in your face. The actors are supposed to comment as actors to the audience and be like, "This is bad. We are in trouble. Mm-hmm. I am an actor speaking to you. This is art."
Because they broke the fourth wall quite
all
often.
the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Shakespeare is no, actually, the Greek chorus is technically where the fourth wall. We've talked about this many times. It's literally our bitch.
Yeah.
Guys, surprise! The Greek chorus were people who spoke about Greek society.
Yeah.
Crazy. But in the sense, it took parts of how Shakespeare and the Greeks interpreted a fourth wall break and said, what if we do that even more? What if we don't just comment on the play, but comment on the reality in which the audience is coming from? Mm-hmm. Which I'll briefly touch on absurdism and expressionism, which came from Brechtian theater. It was supposed to reject reality because people were so destroyed.
Yeah.
Tired and hopeless of how the world had turned out. And so instead of saying, oh, let's write a play that is about the camps, let's instead create this play around a fascist dictator and his robot army and how he brainwashes the robots. That's epic theater.
Yeah.
Blank.
Yeah.
But they also, what absurdism and expressionism did that epic did not, is they focused on the dreamlike state of theater.
Which still exists in a lot of theater now, of like dream sequences. A lot in musical theater mostly, but...
Yeah, and there's a lot of plays that do that too.
Yes, yeah, but...
To a different extent.
Yeah.
Instead of this is what it is and this is what could happen, they focused on this is what could be. Which I think is really cool. One of my favorite expressionist plays is Machinal by Sophie Treadwell. I did it a few times. I did it once, not a few times. I'm a liar. That was me just blatantly lying. I did it in high school. High school theater is tea. But it's one of the first expressionist plays written by an American woman. And it was based on a true story about this woman who was forced into an abusive marriage and her husband, which is all true, and was put on death row. And the way that these episodes instead of scenes happen are the young woman, because you're not given a name, is going through these different time periods in this dreamlike state, and she has no control over what is happening, but the audience sees the solution when she doesn't. And you're like, no, oh my gosh, like you could do this, you can solve this. And that is what a lot of expressionist and absurdist theater does, is they help the audience find solutions in the dreamlike sequence, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's go on to realism. And do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I just have a funny little...
Please.
Brecht at some point wanted to leave Germany and did, and he came to America.
Oh, yeah.
And he wanted to be a Hollywood writer. And I just don't think America was really ready for that. And he kind of became this enemy to the FBI because they were like, you are German, first of all, and you are also not really vibing with what our politics are, so we're gonna keep an eye on you.
He also was one of those Eastern European Jewish people.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, it's 1956, we're in the middle of McCarthyism, how about we put you with the rest of the Hollywood writers who we're a little scared about right now, and put you on trial.
Even though he never
didn't say
identified
a word
that he was a communist. Anyways,
no.
But apparently in his diary he wrote about Hollywood and the movie industry. It is expected that the actors can't act and the audience can't think. Because he wanted his audiences to like listen and be very in tune with what people were saying and think for themselves, and that just wasn't what movies at that point wanted to do here,
especially American movies.
Yeah. And then for expressionism, it's actually very interesting because a lot of historical expressionists were German, and a large percentage of them actually died fighting the war on the Western Front, or then volunteered in the war, or went crazy. And that was kind of their three outcomes. Because
some overlap there as well.
Yes, I'm sure. But a lot of them actually died with the war, which I think is really ironic.
It's absolutely ironic. It's dramatic irony.
Yeah.
Guys, Issa, hot take, special guest, Bertolt Brecht. He's such a Greek chorus girly. He loves to talk shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to go into realism and naturalism, or do you want to talk about musical theater first?
Musicals I have up until now, so go for those first.
I'll go to realism and naturalism. So after the period of epic absurdism, expressionism, when we were, as a Western society, were trying to revive ourselves after the war and after the Red Scare.
Yeah. And come back to normalcy.
Yes. We were craving normalcy. So we diverted from sensationalism and epicness to observable reality. Mm-hmm. To try and calm people's brains. So that's where the living room dramas came in. Mm-hmm. And there's overlap with romanticism and melodrama in realism. But realism is sort of the start of what you would think as modern day theater.
Mm-hmm. And realism and naturalism are often lumped into one, and people think that they're the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got, I'm trying to all of the living room dramas that came from the 50s and 60s that displayed families going through situations and then having a happy ending. Mm-hmm. And it was theatrical and big in the same way that people have learned, because you can't really unlearn training. And if you trained in a Brechtian style, you're going to have that presence, whether it be accurate to a human or not. Mm-hmm. But I'm trying, what are some good examples of very realist plays? Ibsen is very real.
He's the father of realism.
Yeah. I said Arthur Miller, Ibsen, Chekhov-ish, which kind of was before, this was all coming up during epic theater and during absurdism, mm-hmm. but it was in the back because people were craving at that time bigger is better, and then people were like, please, I don't want that anymore, which is how this indie cult classic type of theater, mm-hmm. realism, came into play.
Yeah.
So all of the American classics that you would think are very View from a Bridge, August Wilson,
Thornton
Wilder's so realist. But what I did say was some of these examples of realist playwrights were actually, they were during the realist era, but really were naturalists. Mm-hmm. Because naturalism is, as opposed to its theatrical counterpart of realism, is how human we can be. Mm-hmm. So it's open-ended endings, not so happy nor not so tragic endings, such as life, very filmatic in nature. So think of Our Town, The Seagull, Death of a Salesman, Doll's House. These are things where you see this woman leaving her husband and leaving her family, and you're saying, what? We can't see that. A woman's not supposed to leave the house. Mm-hmm. But guess what? Women were leaving the house.
Yeah.
Women were leaving their families. You don't know if she comes back or not.
Yeah.
And that's such as life.
Yeah.
Fathers die. Death of a salesman. The Seagull, the gun goes off. Mm-hmm. And there is familial pressure from mm-hmm. parent to child. And people are not good and not bad, and seeing how human you can be, which is where the birth of all of the Stanislavski techniques that we have an episode about came into play, because Stanislavski was inside out. Mm-hmm. Inside out. Trying to be as natural as possible. So instead of you being grandiose to play to the back of a house, you instead would say, okay, so what is a conversation between Issa and I like? Mm-hmm. People would look to that instead. And so that type of technique really paired well with naturalism because it was a human type of play.
Yeah.
Made sense that just humans would be in it. Mm-hmm. And that's how the modern filmmaking, film styles of acting came in to play, because naturalism, realism, and grand gestures of epic theater and of Shakespeare don't work well when the camera is this close to your face. Mm-hmm. But naturalism does.
Right. Because you're just being
you're being a human. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
My only thing about that is that I have been to Ibsen's grave.
Whoa, okay.
Because it's in Oslo.
Sure.
And Oslo loves that man.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's kind of the most famous Norwegian of the time.
Besides ABBA. They were Swedish, right? Yeah. I kind of think they're all the same. Sorry.
The Scandinavian community is going to come for you.
I'm so sorry. Hey, guess what? Sorry. I don't know.
But he's like etched into a lot of buildings, and
that's wild.
Like there's a lot of statues.
I forgot you went to Norway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're going to talk about the opposite of naturalism.
Issa's favorite subject.
Musicals. Because that's the only thing I have that much knowledge on. Anyways. So the modern musical, as we know it, kind of happened in the late 19th century, early 20th century. I think the musical in the form that we know musicals now, the one that I accredit as the first one is Showboat, which came out in 1927, because it was actually putting song and dance and scenes into practice in the way that Western musicals are now. But the precursors were operettas, it was vaudeville, it was burlesque, and it was minstrel shows, which historically are not great.
Big thumbs down.
Big two thumbs down.
two thumbs down.
Obviously, minstrel shows are where the Jim Crow laws came, and blackface, as the modern sense of the word, comes from. But I think white people went, they're kind of having fun up there. Maybe
we do that. And actually, what if we don't be racist?
What if we're just white people? Wait, okay.
What if?
Yeah, so obviously New York has kind of always been the epicenter of musicals, along with London, but London had a different influence. London was very influenced by the Italian operas and such.
And commedia.
Yeah, and commedia. And New York came more from vaudevillian shows, which was basically just variety acts of people singing, people dancing.
A great musical that's about vaudeville is Gypsy.
Mm-hmm, yeah. But the early 20s is kind of when they started to boom, and then you get these people in the 30s, 40s who are the hugest names in musicals. Even to this day, you have Irving Berlin, you have Hart, you have Rodgers and Hammerstein, you have all of these people that Rodgers and Hart were together first, and Hammerstein was with someone else.
Isn't it Hammerstein? I've always said Hammerstein. Data, fact.
Yeah. I feel like I say Hammerstein when it's just him, but it's always Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Interesting. I would do the opposite.
Really?
I would read it Hammerstein if it was just by himself, but I've always heard Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Oh, well, interesting. Anyways.
Fact.
I forget who he was with. He was with someone else. anyways, someone. And anyways, but they wrote the big ones, which I've talked about before, of like Rodgers and H, R&H wrote The King and I. They wrote Oklahoma, which is like the most famous musical to exist.
Sound of Music, Carousel.
The Sound of Music, yeah, Carousel. They wrote everything under the sun.
Can I say something bad that you're gonna be like, Jordan?
What?
When I was a kid, I used to, you know how some confuse stethoscope and telescope? Mm-hmm. I confused parade and carousel all the time.
Like the words?
No, the musicals.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
But I guess the same cover vibe.
And
very different musicals.
Parade and carousel and... Oh, what's the other one? There's another one in that realm of word.
Yeah.
The other, not If I
Amusement
Loved You,
park,
but
yes, it's about like, no, that's Carousel.
No,
If I Loved You,
but there's another one that's in that. Anyway, whatever it is. So the golden age of musical is widely known as the 40s to the 60s. That's when all of that kind of stuff was coming out. And after that, the world of musicals kind of was gearing up towards that at the end of the 60s, but kind of was like, we want to do things that aren't just happy-go-lucky and now we're gonna dance break, and went into more rock and political stuff. Like West Side Story was very political. Cabaret, obviously. Cabaret was actually really ahead of its time. It was written in...
Cabaret's still ahead of its time.
But it was written in the 50s?
40s.
Yeah, like
right at the end of the war.
Like that. Yeah. Hair, obviously. I love that musical. That came out in 68. And then you keep seeing that rock element come through with Rent, and everything starts to become more taboo and political in the 80s, 90s musical realm. Mm-hmm. And then into the 2000s, you get more pop musicals, you get more jukebox musicals, you get Rock of Ages, you get Mamma Mia, you get American Idiot, you get all of these musicals that have music that already exists, that people are like, I just want to listen to this in show form. Let's listen to Elvis in All Shook Up or whatever. But I do think nowadays there's not as many like legit musicals
I agree.
being written. I think there's a huge
I think Sondheim might have been like really the last truly legit.
Yeah, well, he is so his lyricism is just fantastic. But I think right now there's such a big push for everything has to be a belt at the end, and every person has to have the widest vocal range ever. And we're not getting like legit sopranos anymore. Like I feel like the most recent one that is like Light in the Piazza, and that's not
I was gonna say Great Comet.
But even
then it's still like a rock vibe. I also, something irks me to no damn end about people, theater kids, sorry, bad word, thinking that vocal gymnastics comes before acting. Mm-hmm. Stop that.
Yeah.
Cut that out.
Yeah. I'm like, it's so great that you can do those zillions of runs. I don't care if you're not giving me anything.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so happy for you, but...
Go to vaudeville. If you're gonna, like, make a face and do vocal riffs, that's vaudeville.
Well, there's, like, a reason why the theater program at Syracuse, the musical theater program, starts with opera songs. They're like, I don't care if you can belt. I want to see you do this really legit song and know that you have strong training behind you. Mm-hmm. And I think the only way that we're getting those nowadays is if people are writing musicals that have like one character like that. Like a lot of Eliza in Hamilton is a lot more operatic comparatively to everybody else.
Yeah.
Or you'll get people writing musicals of things that already exist. Mm-hmm. Again, with Philippa Soo, like Amelie. I'm like, that is more legit. She still belts in it, but
she's a mixer.
Yeah. But, and I think I'm not mad at things being made into musicals that already exist. I'm mad when they go into movie form when, like, Mean Girls, the movie, was made into the musical, which then was made back into the movie. No. Why? Why did you do that? It makes no sense. And I'm very anti musical movie unless there is a reason why it gets better. Like Wicked, you put in all of these magical elements that you can't portray on stage in the same capacity, and that on stage you have to kind of just accept the fact that no, he's supposed to be a goat, but he just has like a mask on.
Yeah.
Whereas when you put it in a movie form, obviously you get to have all of those VFX. Versus Dear Evan Hansen.
Didn't need it.
Didn't need it.
It takes place in high school. Don't need it.
Yeah. There's already a West Side Story movie.
I thought it got better. I think there's a classic for a reason, but man, was I happy to see a Latinx woman play Maria.
Yes. But it doesn't get better because it's on film.
True.
In the Heights, why were there random, like,
it's fine.
Slightly magical elements? I
liked La La Land. La La Land because of the cinematism of Hollywood.
Well, it's not a stage musical.
Yeah, true.
Like, I mean, if it's going from stage to movie, like, I think ones that would benefit that are on stage now, I don't even know.
Parade. I feel like Parade could be really good.
But it doesn't have, like, magical
elements?
Or elements true. That you can't see on stage. Like, and the ones that, like Lion King is already a movie. Or Cabaret is already a movie.
Yeah. I mean, the Percy Jackson musical.
Yeah.
That could be cool.
Yeah.
Be More Chill. I don't like Be More Chill, but there is a magical element.
That you're in the bathroom, though. I can see that, like, anyways.
Michael.
And that to say, and some revivals are a bit controversial, I think, just because they're like, okay, can we get original content? But I think revivals do two things. One is that it shows that history repeats itself. Mm-hmm. And two is that it brings in a wider audience, because if someone goes, oh, I heard about this, or my mom talked about listening to this, or I have this poster from
or
this.
I love this celebrity.
Yeah. It brings up a larger audience, which I really enjoy. I think pro shots should be more widely available. Totally. I'd rather see a pro shot of a musical than the musical in movie form. Like the Hamilton pro shot is fantastic. The Waitress pro shot is fantastic.
Next to Normal pro shot, fantastic.
Yeah. All these pro shots, I think, do what musical movies intend to do, which is make musicals more widely enjoyed. And I think if you just did the pro shot, people would actually like it for being theater and not just like it for being a movie that has music.
Maybe I'm biased, but I also think more plays should be pro shot.
Yeah.
Like Good Night and Good Luck. We needed that.
Yeah. Or Shakespeare to make it more accessible.
Well, Shakespeare has been pro shot.
But like
the Globe
not
pro
on
shots.
But not on like public platform like Hamilton is.
You can see some of the pro shots on YouTube at the Globe.
But I mean like
full length.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. That's all I have on musicals.
I have a hot take about musicals.
Okay. I don't have any hot takes today. I forgot.
Too. It's okay. Maybe we can just chat about that.
And then what time is it?
1:14.
We've been going for like an hour 10.
That's pretty typical for us.
Yeah.
We also did 45 minutes last time, so we've earned the right to be a little long.
Yeah. I do have work at 1:45.
Oh, fuck. Okay. We'll finish this up. Okay. So my two hot takes. You heard about Rent and Hair, right?
The musicals?
Mm-hmm. Not like you heard they're coming back to Broadway?
No. I commented on someone's TikTok like 2 months ago that was like, what do you want to see coming back to Broadway? And I was like, hair right now would be fantastic, because there is so much needed in the struggle of patriotism of our current culture. And I know some of what it kind of has a really weird line of infantilizing people because of the song like White Boys and Black Boys. It's like, you're like, black boys are delicious. Let's
not do that.
Let's maybe choose another first line.
So my hot take is, if Hair comes to Broadway and Rent comes to Broadway, I refuse to see verbatim. We don't need verbatim. We don't need a restaging of people in bad wigs. We don't need a restaging of the HIV epidemic. Yeah. What we do need, and I think, listen, I have a lot of thoughts about Jamie Lloyd, but I do think he would direct Hair pretty well.
Yeah.
Because he knows how to take the core element of the politics behind a show and put that as the staging.
That being said, Hair very infrequently has a really dramatic set, and I'd kind of love to see a set just be this beautiful, lush Central Park, and nobody does that for Hair.
I know. Well, I think that's why
he's so like bare set.
Well, you heard he's doing Hedwig in The Angry Inch in London, and he's going to do a set for them.
Well, he better.
Yeah.
But Hair, I mean, the thing is, Hair and Rent are like 2 of my top 5.
I love Hair and Rent.
So like, I'm like, wait, don't change them too much.
But totally.
Yeah, you don't want to just revive it because you want it to have a very clear message.
The reason that Rent and Hair were so effective when they came out is because they were staged and produced in a way that reflected the society that they were in.
And were of the times.
Yeah.
Like, they were both produced when what they were talking about was happening.
Totally. And so I think absolutely have some of the aspects that make the show as famous as it is. You know, have the scarf and La Vie Boheme, and have
do the nude scene.
Oh, it's Jamie Lloyd. If it's Jamie Lloyd, they're doing a nude scene
where
everyone gets
there's a picture.
Doused in period.
There's a picture of the audience when they were first producing Hair, which is 1968, and it's of the audience during the nude scene. When, if you don't know Hair, at some point they're burning their draft cards, spoiler, and they all get naked on stage. And the audience is just sat there like mouth wide open.
They were gagged.
It was an entire audience of old white people, because that's what they thought theater was. That was the theater audience at the time. You're seeing Sound of Music. Yeah, I'll be 75 and sit with my butterscotch. But you're going and seeing Hair, and you're like, oh,
what?
You're not pro-America and Republican, and you're burning your draft card, and now you're naked? What's happening?
It's why I think it would be a fantastic play to put on, but you need a very specific director with a very specific vision of how to relate it to a modern audience and get people to, Brecht, don't use it as a mirror, use it as a hammer.
Yeah, you can't just be like, I'm going to do this play now, especially in this political climate. It's like, no, you have to bring out the parts of it that are
reflective of right now and inspire people to go out of that theater and make change.
Yeah.
That's one of my hot takes. My second hot take, if your parents, hi mom, are pleading with you, begging you to buy new clothes, you probably have a bad sense of style and need to get new clothes. I'm just saying that as someone who did not have that happen to her in the last 24 hours, but
I don't think that's ever happened to me.
Yeah, because you have a good sense of style.
I
wear two things.
Have a decent amount of clothes that were my mom's at some point or another.
Sure.
So she wouldn't be like, gross, because it's like, half of these skirts were yours.
Sure.
But very fair. I'm like, if...
My parents are like, you work at a retail store. Buy some stuff there.
Yeah, that's fair. I see that. Well,
I wear tank tops and this pair of jeans like 90% of the time. It's my uniform. It's like Arthur with like his little yellow fucking vest.
You're like you're an animated character that just never changes.
Love it.
And with that,
next week we have a guest coming, which will be fun.
Woohoo! First guest of the season.
And thanks for staying while we yap about history and things that we geek out about. And do you have anything to...
No.
Okay.
All right.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.